I recently had somebody come to my office and they said, I'm really worried. I left the scene of an accident. I didn't mean to, and now I've been contacted by the police. What's going to happen to me? This is a somewhat common occurrence. A lot of times people innocently, sometimes they don't even realize they've been in an accident. Mostly these things occur shopping mall parking lots, supermarket parking lots, where you may be involved in some sort of an accident or collision and you don't even know it happens. And then you go home and you're contacted by the police. I've had cases where people left the scene of an accident because they were literally afraid. They get involved in an accident late at night, they're in a strange area, and they're so scared they don't want to stop, they want to get home. So what could happen to you in that situation? Well, if you are ever charged or approached by the police, they're going to charge you with something called leaving the scene of an accident. And that does carry in New Jersey some serious consequences: loss of license, potential criminal conviction. But there are many, many defenses. And the biggest one is, what was your intent? Was your intent to really leave the scene because you knew you were in an accident and you wanted to avoid trouble? Or did you leave the scene of the accident because you had legitimate reasons and legitimate concerns? And I have defended people who've been in these situations and have used these defenses a number of times. The biggest defense is usually people, you don't even realize you've been in an accident. Or secondly, you've been involved in an accident, you pull over, everybody gets out of the car, you look at each other, you exchange information, and everybody says, well, no harm, no foul. Or you don't exchange information, and everybody looks and say, let's go, and then all of a sudden, you're contacted by the police. In that situation, what someone like me could do, or a good criminal defense lawyer could do, is there are other ways to resolve that matter. The most common way is to ask a prosecutor, hey, you've charged this person, but there's really no intent to leave the scene of an accident. Why don't we just let them plead to what's called a failure to report an accident? The penalties for that are minimal, because what that says to a judge is that there's really no intent to avoid being held accountable here. It's just there were other reasons that these things weren't done. So if you do leave the scene of an accident and you get a call from the police, don't panic. There's ways to resolve it, especially if you had good intentions and you had no criminal intent in when you were doing this. If you ever do run into this situation, you can just give me a call at the phone number that's listed below, or you could go visit my website at www.ghlaw.nyj. I'll be happy to answer any questions that you may have if you find yourself in this situation.